I'm J.D. Green. I've been a face on the radio in Vermont for well over 20 years. And although I've loved my career in radio, I had a vision about bringing my connection to the community to a different platform, to social media, where I could create a blueprint of a podcast that's something constantly evolving, knowing that there's always room for new experiences and learning, discovery, exploration, new questions to ask, and answers to be sought after. A program without limitations, but still with intention to tell a more in-depth story behind what makes us tick, what inspires us, what makes us realize that the what and when is only secondary to the how. And it's the how and the why that I want to uncover. It's my hope with this podcast that I can inspire, inform, that we can learn together and tell the bigger stories behind our lives. That's our story. My real story off the air. I'll try to push the boundaries, arouse your curiosity, and ask the questions you want answers to. Maybe questions no one's asked. The good and the not so good. What's going on in Vermont as well as across our great country. Things you'll agree with, things you might not. It's my hope to laugh with you, cry with you, entertain and enlighten you, but mostly learn with you. Please make sure to support your local public access TV station, subscribe to my YouTube podcast, Aired Out, engage by sharing your comments, and invite your friends to be part of it too. Thanks for tuning in. This is Aired Out. Welcome to Aired Out. I'm J.D. Green. Our sponsors, CBDcrave.com. You can see him right here on the table, right next to my little gnome, my new guy here. Haven't named him yet, but I think I'm going to name him Chris. I don't know where I came up with that, but I don't know. Maybe my friend Chris, who owns CBD Crave. Who knows? But Peak Entertainment of Vermont and New Hampshire, Fontaine Forestry and Millworks of East Montpelier, Fly on the Wall Productions, and CVTV, Public Access Channel 192 and 194. It's where we are tonight. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the start of the weekend. Today, we're talking about vaginas. Not just any vagina. I guess we're going to talk about chocolate vaginas. Am I saying this right, ladies? Do I stand to be corrected here?
A little bit.
This is Jaquelyn Rieke next to me from Nutty Stephs, and Martina Anderson, who is your cohort.
Yes. I love how you're just like jumping right into the genitalia.
I'm going
JD.
right into the genitalia because here's the thing.
Because who doesn't like to talk about that?
These chocolate
Vulvas
vaginas. Yeah, so I stand to be corrected.
You do, and you
why?
know, but
Why
we don't blame you.
Why can't I call it a chocolate vagina?
Okay, well, the vagina, as it turns out, and I myself didn't even learn this until January.
Yeah, let's talk
4
about
months
vaginas.
into developing the chocolate vulva.
Sure.
Is the inside part.
Oh.
It's just the inside part, and you can't see it. So this shape that you're calling a vagina, that's the outside, and
I'm
that's
telling
called
you,
a
folks,
vulva.
this podcast is going to get more and more interesting by the minute, possibly the second. All right, so I'm learning. So we're having
all
a little
learning all over America.
We're having a little health class today, a little health lesson, I guess. So first off, congratulations for spearheading Nutty Stephs and launching this incredible company that you have. There's a story there, and I want to talk about the story and how you came to be and where you are and why you do what you do. And we're going to be, of course, talking about CBD chocolates and all the great things you do in the community. But let's talk about this campaign first and foremost. This is the big reason why I've got you here today, what you're doing with these chocolate vulvas. You are so passionate about this. And it's an incredibly popular thing that you're selling.
Yeah, it is. America's ready for chocolate vulvas, as it turns out. But, you know, obviously, in very much America and Vermonters are in earnest about women's reproductive health and rights and social justice around
huge.
You know, sexuality, health.
Sure.
And we can't be in business, be an organization that's 16 years old with 14 people and have all these resources that we're moving around and not address some of these really urgent matters that affect all of the people all around us. And so for us, being in business means we're going to do things that are going to push the envelope in terms of social justice.
Yeah,
so
push the envelope big
that's
time.
The force underneath the enthusiasm from us and from Vermonters all over the country. People orders pouring in for these chocolate vulvas.
I was going to ask you about that. You're getting press everywhere.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really this precipice, and it's based around underexposure, if you will, no pun intended, but like really the underrepresentation that you see all over from women. It comes from like low wages. It comes in all different forms.
So fair to say that you're a feminist.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. And also, we always are remembering to point out that every woman doesn't have a vulva, and every person with a vulva isn't necessarily a woman. And that's an underrepresented set of
Well, that's one of the biggest things that's not just being talked about so much in Vermont, but everywhere right now. That's such a big topic.
Absolutely. And
but
it's,
very
it
much
is a little
Vermont.
awkward. It's a little shocking just to talk about vulvas. But we gotta do it. We don't even know the difference between vulvas and vaginas. Not only men.
Right here.
Me. I've had a vulva and a vagina for 38 years, and I didn't know the difference because we don't talk about this. We're not educated.
Sure.
The health education is woefully underserving.
Of course.
And so on and so on and so on. It's all about this stigma and a lot of shame and a lot of silence. This project, though, was initiated by Martina. So
introduce Martina. Tell me, I mean, you guys are so cool. I love stopping in to Nutty Steph's right there on Route 2. But introduce Martina and her story, what she does for you, and just what she does for you. But was it her idea to come up with
Oh yeah.
All right.
Tell
everyone what she does for you.
Well, Martina and we like to say what we do with each other instead of for each other. But Martina has been my coworker for 2.5 years. She's rising up to co-ownership in the company.
Wow.
And she made chocolate. She and I really work closely together on the brand and the marketing and what we like to think of more than marketing and sales and branding but community building. So when we think about what's our outreach, what's our messaging, what are we doing with our products and our company, it's about how are we going to build community. So we're kind of the godhead of Nutty Steph's around what are we doing. We fundamentally exist to nurture the community. And so how are we going to do that? What's it going to look like? What are we going to use? And we just tag team on that. We have incredible chemistry.
So was it your idea, Martina, to come up with a chocolate vulva?
Well, it was almost an accident. I was looking for Easter bunny molds online because we were in need of Easter bunny molds.
Oh my God, I love this story
And
already.
While I'm browsing this amazing website that has thousands of different chocolate molds for you to purchase, I stumbled upon unicorns and stars and flowers, and I was like, oh, we should do other things. We should do, have different shapes of chocolates available. And then I stumbled upon what was it called? The
female
anatomy.
Vagina mold.
Oh, the vagina mold. Okay.
Female vagina mold.
Okay, yeah, female vagina.
They just needed to specify that. Yeah. Even though it's not accurate.
So, right.
Exactly. If you would search for vulva, they said zero results, but they had a vagina mold.
Oh my God, isn't that something?
And so I saw it and I loved it, and there was not any like naughty feeling or any like this is so crazy, we should do it. I was like, we can educate people and we can empower people through this mold. Was like my first idea, and I was like, can I order this?
Yeah. And what was Jaquelyn's reaction when you?
Oh, she was like, go for it.
Wow.
And I was actually sitting around our bar at Nutty Steph's with with our production people
Sure.
and the shopkeeper, and we like looked through a bunch of these molds, and they were all, this is exciting, we should definitely give it a try. So we ordered a couple, maybe 12 molds, and started pouring them in different flavors, and really liked the way they came out.
Yeah.
And then we had this beautiful product, and we were kind of like, what now? You know, how are we gonna merchandise this? How are
Yeah,
we
it's
gonna
one thing to
release
have-
this to the world?
Yes,
because
it's one
it is
thing
a
to have
tricky
it.
You know, it's not a tricky topic, but it's just
Sure.
like everybody who looks at this is gonna see a different message. And what
Correct.
I really wanted them to see was the empowering and the starting a dialogue and honoring women and femininity with this chocolate mold. But clearly, I didn't have any power over what people are thinking when they see it.
Sure.
And it's usually not the first thought that would come up seeing a chocolate vulva.
Yeah.
And I'm a parent of 2 children, and I think it's very important to talk about it. You know, in an easy way, in just like, this is not a body part. We talk about your ear and
Yeah,
your nose
sure.
and your eyes
Right.
and your arm and your finger.
And we both have little girls, and we're both instructing them to wipe properly and to bathe properly. So you have to be able to
Refer to their body.
You have to.
Exactly.
And not say it, you know, your
Your-
cootie.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
tutu. You're down there. Like in,
You're
the,
down
in, the, in
there.
the vagina monologue.
You're down below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're
you
right.
know, it gives you, if you don't name something,
Yeah.
it can instill fear and
Sure.
discomfort,
course.
and I think a lot of problems stem from us not naming things.
Yeah.
But
You're
but
right.
also, you know, it's my way to parent, and I certainly didn't want any other person stepping into the store feel like, this is in your face, take
Sure.
it, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to like explain, and it makes, you know, not just parents uncomfortable with, oh, what am I gonna say to my child, but
Yeah.
it made a lot of other people uncomfortable too.
Some.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was one of my biggest questions for you guys. Is you have an idea, you have a concept, you have a message behind it, and you went with it, but was the reaction what you hoped that it would be? Which is all of the things that you just said are what you hoped that it would be. But was the reaction more snickering, and is it more of a funny thing?
Well, you got to back way up.
Is it
You
more
gotta
of a
back up,
novelty?
like
Is-
about, this was 18 months ago, I think almost, that we
No, it was
first
2 years
got,
ago.
2 years ago, that we got this mold, and this Planned Parenthood Chocolate Vulva campaign started 6 weeks ago, January 17th at the Women's March of this year. So it was a 20-month process before we actually released it as a product. And what we first did was we poured a few and had them in our store. And what we noticed is that people mostly delighted in it. They mostly just laughed and bought it and were excited.
As more of a novelty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a little bit of the empowerment was, you could see it come through, because like, is that what I think it is? Oh my gosh. Oh, why not? And then
Yeah.
you just see that fear curtain sort of just drop away.
Sure.
And that was a little bit inspiring each time. So we already saw that early, but and then a lot of people who didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So thinking
Is
it's
that
a
what it-
flower.
is
Like,
that
I
what-
love these flower chocolates, and then they get them, and we didn't correct them, and there was one little boy, my favorite, and he was like, "Mommy, I want the football. I want the football chocolate. I want the football." And she's like, "No, have this over here," So we did, we really treaded into it, not having a really like ambitious idea about we're going to make a ton of these and sell these, or
Well, we
what
put
do we
them
do? We
out
just put
for
some-
International Women's Day 2 years ago.
Okay,
That's when
just
we
a
put them
little,
on the shelf.
just in the
like
store, our
10,
store only.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months or a while more, Martina posted a photo, right?
Oh well, that's now
On
things are
social
gonna
media.
now things are gonna shift gears.
The rainbow.
Well, and
Vulvas.
almost immediately, Megan reached out, right?
Yes, yeah, but we got a lot of engagement on that particular photo, and a lot of shares on that photo as well. So
Oh,
we were like,
sure.
"Oh, this is exciting!"
Sure.
And then yes, Megan McGeary, who is a friend of mine and the Major Gifts fundraiser at Planned Parenthood of Northern New England, was like, "Oh my God, I love this. Can we do something for Planned Parenthood?
Wow.
And her idea was more like, we have, events where we invite our donors and there's food and maybe you can, provide a little chocolate.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how about a little bit more than that? And I had no
Wow.
idea what that would be at that time, but we kind of we felt that there is so much more we could do.
Yes, of course. So that was the light that went off right there.
Yeah.
And
That's when we really married the sense of purpose to
Yes.
the product itself, and boop,
So Vulva Nation.
Vulvalution.
Vulvalution.
The Vulvalution.
Vulvalution.
Vulvalutionaries.
Yeah. So because I'm having you as a guest on my podcast, can I be a vulva visionary as well?
You are a Vulvalutionary.
All right. Yes. Excellent. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
right. I should not have only pointed to us.
Well, I'm just,
Make those badges,
well, I'm just saying,
yes.
just because I'm a guy, I mean, can I be included?
Oh,
okay.
certainly.
This campaign is for all people.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We definitely want to
So,
make that clear.
So how many of you sold, and how did you price them, and how many boxes have you created, and what's the message inside the box, and what percentage of the money are you what's the percentage
What the
that's
hell's going on here?
What the hell's going on?
So we want to raise $100,000 for Planned Parenthood. That's our goal.
Tall order.
Very, very ambitious. We've never engaged in a project of such a magnitude at all for social
$100 grand
justice
for
purposes.
Planned Parenthood here in Vermont, or just
Northern New England.
Northern New England?
So
Got it.
those are the clinics
Maine,
in
New Hampshire.
and Vermont.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. Okay.
And the vulvas are $5 each. They come in 3 flavors. There's
Yeah.
peppermint, caramelized, and dark chocolate. They're all delicious. We source our chocolate from farmers that we ensure a high wage to. Either they get a high wage or they own their own little plot of cocoa forest. So
I'm going to be asking you more about that in a bit. But go ahead.
delicious. So the 3 flavors, they're $5 each. $1 goes to Planned Parenthood. And we launched it 6 weeks ago, and so far we've sold 5,000 vulvas, so we've raised $5,000 for Planned Parenthood of Northern England.
Wow.
Yeah,
Isn't that something else? And so how
Significant.
long are you going to keep selling them until you come up with 100K?
it's a year-long project. So
1
it's
year.
going to the end of the year, and then on New Year's Eve we're having a ball to celebrate the
I
ringing
saw
in
that.
of the 20s. Because
Yes.
at midnight it'll be the 20s again. That's 100 years since women's suffrage.
Okay.
And
And did
it's,
I read correctly? Is that going to be in Burlington on
at
the
the Echo
waterfront?
Center.
At the Echo
Yeah.
Center. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
As part of the highlight New Year's Eve celebration with Burlington City Arts.
Sure.
We think. So, yeah. Still working it
Yes.
out. But the really special secret sauce and wonderful educational component of the project is the Vulva Gallery is a Dutch organization. Hilde Atalanta is an illustrator that's illustrated over 500 original drawings of vulvas from real life. And you see, when you look at them, how varied they are. A vulva is like a fingerprint or a snowflake. They're completely different, everyone. And that's, again, a big part of what we're not educated about. And it's very problematic.
Well, can I just say how Hilde came up with the vulva gallery was she was researching on Google bigger inner labia. So
Okay.
your vulva is there's an outer and an inner,
Sure.
which used to be referred to as small and big, which varies. 50% of women,
Have a larger inner
have
labia.
a larger inner labia. And when they Googled larger inner labia, the third thing that came up was surgery.
Okay.
It's not normal, you shouldn't look like this. There's one way,
Sure.
We can help.
Yes, exactly.
We can help your large inner labia problem with labiaplastia surgery.
Yeah, plastic surgery. Sure.
And
Yes.
that's the fastest growing plastic surgery in the world right now.
And we looked into it a little bit more, and also in I think Australia, I was reading an article from this woman. It's in all anywhere where you would see, women's vulva exposed in magazines or soft porn or anything like that.
Sure.
It's always one way, and it's also it's a country where surgery is openly discussed, and young women who are starting to wonder and are curious, they see, well, this is what you should look like, and this is what we can do, and we can help you. So
Wow.
that's where Hilde started.
And she's from where now?
They, Hilde's pronoun is they, not she and her.
Oh, okay. But from what you said, from a country?
Holland.
From Holland.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So we Skyped, across the
Yeah.
Atlantic
Yeah.
and developed this project.
Yeah.
And they've been approached by different businesses and organizations over the years to partner, and they've always declined. They're really serious about education, and the book with all the 500 illustrations and a lot of information is intended to be at clinics and schools all over the world. As far as I'm concerned, it's the most
Can you hold that
important international sexual health education that's happening. Is the Vulva Gallery, and so they're very serious about their work and declined to partner with anyone else, but they loved this project, and we're the first organization. So they created a set of collector's cards that go inside with the chocolate vulva, and they're all educational and artistic, beautiful illustrations.
Are they all different?
Oh yeah, the
They're all
collector's
different.
cards.
So you show this one, but we should say the vulvagallery.com, which I think you may have already mentioned, but
yes,
but that's the website that you can get on. Celebrating vulva diversity. Isn't that something else? Wow. And of course, all the links to this are on nuttystephs.com.
yes, /Vulvalution.
Oh, there's a limited number of these. Only 1,000 available?
No, that's tickets to the ball. So this is a little
Okay.
sort of a little thing, a little advertisement about
Yeah, can
the
you-
New Year's Eve ball.
So
But there's
sh-
9 different collector's cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's show this too. There's 9 different collector's cards in each box.
No, total. So you can collect them all. By
Yes,
buying
that's what
in
that's
advance.
what I mean.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
There's one in each box.
Isn't that something? So, when you mention Planned Parenthood, of course, now you're opening a different door here to politics and whatnot. So Bernie Sanders stops off at Nutty Steph's. Did you know he was coming?
No.
Why was he there, and what was that all about?
Well, that was the day of
S'mores.
the world's biggest s'mores event.
Yes, right.
And, Leahy lives in Middlesex, where we are. And so he frequents the Red Hen Baking Company that's next to us.
Yes.
And Leahy was there that day. They didn't come during the giant chocolate s'mores event, but I think that Leahy kind of wanted to be near what was going to happen.
Sure.
Just make the scene a little bit.
Of
and
course.
so then my guess is he kind of tipped Bernie off.
Yeah.
Hey, this is where the scene is. You should
Yes.
go there. So
These are where the national headlines are being made. So he stopped.
Bernie stops by in the Camp Mead complex, which is where our Nutty Steph's chocolate shop is.
And that's right off exit 9, Middlesex, off the interstate, right there, Route 2.
Yep, right
won't
off
miss it.
89.
You hit Route 2, you take a left, and you're within a
We're
couple
the
hundred
only
yards.
thing at exit 9.
Right there.
Basically, except the secondhand store across
So,
the street, which is great.
what was that like? So he stops in and
He stops in, and Randy, the owner of Red Hen Baking Company, came out to say hello to him, and I came out to say hello, and our landlords had hired a videographer woman who was doing video all day around the giant s'mores event in preparation for that event. And so she just happened to be on site with her video camera, and we said,
It was at the Hive. It was at Ryan's shop.
yes,
The Hive.
at the Hive, the craft gallery.
oh, that's such an amazing
Oh,
place.
yeah.
It
in
is
there.
a great
Oh, my God.
store. I love
What
his
a,
work.
You go in there, just plan on a good half hour
Yeah.
to browse around. But anyway,
Definitely. So we just sort of cornered him, and we asked him, do you mind if this woman videos while we talk? And we didn't have a plan at all. It was just Randy and I just started talking to Bernie and
the tape was rolling.
Joni, I think, also from the Hive.
Now, was that so? We didn't
Yes.
have a TV crew there, but did that tape make it on to CAX?
Well,
or
so
anyone?
she started. We started talking to him. She's videoing, and Bernie starts saying it's so wonderful that you make this wonderful food here, Red Hen Baking Company, and they use all local ingredients, and this is the tradition of Vermont, and blah blah blah. And it was kind of funny because then Randy's going, yes, and this is Jaquelyn from Nutty Steph's.
So I saw that. I saw that.
But he knows about us because we make the Bernie bar, kind of.
Yeah.
But he also is like, it's so weird having my face on a chocolate bar. Like, he's never really particularly been very fond of the Bernie bar, I don't think.
Although he agreed to it. He was like, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, it wasn't against his will. But he's not, like, thanking us and acknowledging us a lot. So Randy's going, yes, and this is Jaquelyn. She also makes food in this building, and da-da-da. And then I took the opportunity just off the cuff.
Yeah.
Wasn't planning it, but just with some miraculous kind of timing and the will of the goddess, just came out with perfect form saying, well, Senator Sanders, you'll be very glad to hear that we are raising $100,000 for Planned Parenthood next year. And so, he says, oh, yes, that's wonderful. And I finished my sentence with 100,000 chocolate vulvas. And he just lost it. He just lost his shit. Lost his shit, like, very briefly. Can I swear on this show?
Of course you can.
Oh, great.
Yes.
And then immediately recovers and starts talking about the importance of supporting Planned Parenthood and policy and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So just very
This is
interesting.
that.
Moment.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a great moment. So that's all captured on film, and that's I'm hoping you might be able to air it on this show. It's never been put to the airwaves yet, but maybe this is the time.
We're going to try to.
Cool.
And that's of course, and of course, folks can see that on YouTube too, right? Probably.
It's on Facebook.
Yeah, it's on the Nuttyville, I think, is our Facebook page.
Okay. All right, but if you just go onto Facebook and you type in Nutty Stephs, you'll get right there.
Yeah.
So, one of the questions, I mean, we have to talk about what's going on tonight at the store, but one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, and maybe you've been asked this before, I don't know, but when you get into chocolates, there's different kinds of chocolates, and those different kinds of chocolates come with different colors. So, was that planned?
Are you talking about vulvas again?
I'm talking about vulvas again.
Good.
I mean.
No, absolutely. The pink, cream-colored, and brown colored vulva products was not a coincidence. We
was
definitely
not a
looking
coincidence.
to emphasize the message about diversity. And the pussy hat thing.
With
the Women's March.
Yeah.
The pussy hats swept the nation.
Sure.
And then there was a backlash. Pussy hats are all pink, but
yes,
vaginas, because people haven't quite learned to say vulva yet, are not always pink. And this is racist. So we definitely learned from the pussy hat debacle, I would say. Do you think that's kind of how it went?
Sure.
And what we would love is if they could be in all different shapes, but
yes, that's a whole different.
You
gotta have to start
the development of original chocolate molds and then the reproduction of them.
There is the underrepresentation again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find different penis molds.
Well,
there's thousands of them.
What's the deal with that? There's all kinds of penis
tons
molds.
Yes, and this is the only vulva mold we've ever found in the world. Wow. Yes. Yeah, it's a classic example.
$1 million question here. Will Nutty Stephs create their own vulva mold?
Like some new original ones with big, fat
I'm
interlabial lips?
just saying. I mean, if there's only one out there, will there be a trademark Nutty Stephs in the future vulva mold for sale?
Or a series of them.
Or a series of 6 or 10 or whatever.
Well, I don't know if you've thought about this at all. Have you ever thought about this?
Well, I like that question because it definitely makes me think about it. My first thing was, well, we're not making chocolate molds.
We certainly have the resources.
Oh, this would be amazing. So, yeah.
I mean, my thought on this has been, we have this goal, 100,000 vulvas this year, Planned Parenthood, and
stay focused.
We're navigating that because what we're finding is a lot of censorship. So certain of our wholesale accounts will pick this up, certain wholesale accounts will not.
Sure.
And certain media will cover this, certain media won't.
But even if they cover it, it's usually they're not allowed to say vulva.
Isn't that amazing?
It needs to be anatomically correct. Chocolate. They're not allowed to show
Or
a
special
picture,
chocolates for Planned
you know.
Parenthood, things like that. Working. Yeah, the imagery.
Yes, yeah, right.
So a lot of censorship, and so
Right,
what we're
that's
noticing is
crazy.
that the path to navigate how to find the people, because once you get past those filters, the media, the wholesale, the stores, whatever,
Sure.
the consumer is ready.
Yeah.
The people love this,
Sure.
and so just getting it out to them
Well, that's what we're doing now.
is what we're doing, and that we're having so much fun just navigating, and everyone we find that wants to partner like you is just so passionate
Right.
and shares our passion, is a Vulvalutionary with us.
Yes.
And so we're building the Vulvalution, and the thing is, who knows where the Vulvalution's going to go?
Of course.
And if it goes to a place that's really expansive,
Yeah.
pun intended, then certainly a variety of shapes and different purposes and campaigns
Sure.
could follow. This
Right.
is the 2019 objective. This is the mold for it. This is the recipient
Sure.
of the funding. This is Planned Parenthood of New England.
So maybe a different
But-
mold for a different year.
Sure.
going
I
forward.
think that coming out of this year, after this campaign, and we see how it goes, and again, we see how big the Vulvalution becomes.
Sure.
That could drive all kinds of different directions.
You
for our
guys are
company.
getting crazy amounts of national press and attention on this. It really is remarkable. I mean, I've got a friend, I got two friends out of state that contacted me and said, "Is it really true what I'm hearing up there that you guys are making a bunch of chocolate vaginas, a bunch of crazy
Did you
Vermonters?"
correct him and tell him it's a vulva?
I did. I directed him. I actually I was on the air at the time, so I didn't have a lot of time to I was on the air live, and I didn't have a lot of time to explain. But I just directed him to your Facebook page so that they could learn more. But
Oh yeah, it's really fun. It's just like waves, and
Yeah.
all over the place. We had this vagina monologues presentation from LA.
Sure.
That picked him up because they wanted to have him at their vagina monologues.
Sure.
All kinds of different. I think one of the really interesting stories. I don't know where the person is from that you've been corresponding with recently. Do you know if they're in Vermont or outside Vermont? The person that was very upset.
oh sure.
Oh, she's a native Vermonter who doesn't live in the state currently.
Well, this is an example, and I mean,
upset about what? Number one. Number two, have you had people come into the store and get upset or offended?
not a lot.
Okay.
It's like a 99% enthusiasm response, and then
Well, what was she upset about?
couple of people here and there that kind of make a look, maybe walk out, and one or two people have approached a shopkeeper and said, I don't know, what do they say?
This is crazy. What the hell are you guys doing?
Oh, I don't.
Well,
Whatever.
I can't really speak for the shop as
Yeah.
much. I've had one response on Facebook. Ooh, yuck! I will not
Work
buy
with you
anything
anymore.
Here
Yeah,
anymore,
anything,
for
right.
example,
Boy, are they missing out. Holy crap.
You're long.
Whoa.
But
Jeez.
that story that Jaquelyn was referring to is actually, I think, one of my most favorite times at Nutty Stephs, which was a woman reaching out through our not newsletter, just sending us an email.
Sure. Right.
Our
And
contact
she-
page.
A contact page, thank you.
Yeah.
And she sent us an email, and she was very upset, and kind of was yelling over email in all caps.
Yeah, right.
And,
Wow.
And was not just about the vulva chocolates, but also about Bernie Sanders, supporting Bernie Sanders. Like, what are we making out of her hometown? We are really not supporting the right people. And so I got the email, and she actually even said at the bottom, don't even bother responding, which is like a clear thing. Okay, there is not really an opening. And I was like, well, I definitely want to respond. And I was sitting with it for like 2 days.
Shocker.
And I cannot shut my mouth. And so at first I was like, oh, I want to come up with this amazing thing. And I was like, never mind, we'll just send. We have like a very generic.
Sure.
Well, we developed it then. You said, Jackie, what do we say when people are mad?
We had it already.
Okay.
For like
Okay.
But
the stock vulva response.
it was kind of like, oh, we understand this can be a shocking product, but here is more information,
Sure.
and we're linking, to different things we've done and talked about it, a press release, and so then I immediately got a response back, and it was, this is pathetic. You're making me laugh. Like, really, you're supporting an organization that
Provides abortions.
And then also
Sure.
she was sex education in schools
Yeah.
and TV have done too much already. And she said, in a few years you'll be begging to have children, to sustain the world.
Wow.
And I wrote back and I said,
Wow.
thank you so much for sharing. Just like interesting side note maybe for you, actually almost all of us working here have at least 2 children.
It's a great thing you got Martina that's
She's
driving
like so
driving the bus.
empathetic
Because
and
if
so,
I were
so responsive and
Yeah.
engaged and an incredible listener.
if you had me in her shoes,
What
you
would
would
you
have
say?
you
What
would have
would
fired
you
me.
say?
You would have fired me.
What would you say to her?
I would have been unemployed immediately.
But listen,
Well, you got to hear the end of
I
the
wouldn't have
story,
been as
though.
couth.
This is so beautiful.
what happened was when I wrote that back, she was like, you really need to watch this movie by a person who used to work for Planned Parenthood, and also I had an abortion in my 80s, so had many of my friends, and I wish it wouldn't have been this easy back then, because I live with the guilt every single day, and there's days I hate myself, and this is not okay. And
Wow.
so I then replied, and I could see there was a shift already happening.
There was, sure.
And I said, thank you so much for sharing all this information, being so vulnerable. I know about this movie. I think it's great. And I can relate to abortion. And I think it's something that, that I just thanked her for, just sharing. And she wrote back and sent me a heart, just a heart emoji. And so what happened, what we really realized with this campaign is that, yes, it makes people upset because people do not feel heard.
You broke a wall
It can
down.
be threatening, and there comes the educational piece in it again,
Sure.
right? That was my first
Sure.
first thought. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to listen. We need to give people a voice.
The listening piece.
And then, when somebody feels heard and understood, then we can go further.
Yeah,
if we
of course.
keep shutting people up, it's not going to make a change. And it's not an inclusive model, right? We're not going to go forward and change the things by just being individualists. I think it comes in
course.
community.
Yeah. Martina just made me look really bad because because I said you would have fired me because she's spot on
I
right there.
know, I
You got a good girl right there. Boy, she knows what she's talking about. But you still would have fired me because my response wouldn't have been that. It would have been something.
Well, it took me a couple days to breathe.
It would have taken me probably a week.
Don't respond in the moment.
Breathe through
Yeah.
it. Breathe through it.
I
Wow.
have lots of
She
experience.
can coach you.
Yeah, breathe through it, of course, no doubt. I want to ask you about the CBD chocolates. First off,
Also Martina's idea.
where did you come from? Where did you come from? And here's the big question that, by the way, you guys were at the Wilkins Harley Davidson Chocolate Festival that they had last weekend, and I don't know who the lady was there, but we had some fun with her, and
She's wonderful.
We did
Our
some-
wonderful
Amazing.
colleague, Susie.
we did some great taste testing, but I think the other $1 million question is who the hell is Steph?
I like how you looked at
love
the camera
that
for that.
well,
Jamie.
yeah,
Very dramatic.
who the hell is Steph?
We get asked
Where
that
is
all the
she?
time in the store.
Where is she and why is she not here right now?
Yeah, well, what we say is we're all Steph.
Okay.
Usually people ask in the store,
Where's Steph?
are you Steph? And I'm like, yes, I'm one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
So
seriously,
we're a worker-owned cooperative. So that means that everybody at our company is either an owner or they're working to become an owner in the future.
Yeah.
And so that's our model. And we use the Steph question as an opening to let people, because when people say, who's Steph?
Yeah.
You know what they're really asking is, who's the owner?
Who's the owner?
They want to know
And
who owns a business. Everybody wants to know a business owner.
I'm
There's
guilty
like a
of it.
real
I thought you were Steph.
right?
Yes.
And it's so disappointing. It's like, who owns this?
Yeah.
Which is funny because, isn't it more interesting, like, who's making this and who's wrapping this up and
Correct.
who's drawing this?
Right.
But what we're obsessed with in America is ownership. Owning land, owning money, owning businesses, and we want to know who the owner is. I think what it is that when you picture a business owner, and we think about like what was it called when we drove west? The Manifest Destiny.
Yeah.
My horse going west.
That's a damn good horse.
You imagine this illusion of autonomy, that you're in charge of your life. Somebody who owns a business, owns money, owns land, is in charge of their life. And so when you say who's Steph, what you're saying is who's the owner, or who's the person who has control over their own life here? Who's in charge of their own life
Who's
here?
the big dog who's driving the bus?
Yeah. And I think there's also a secret fantasy that person is, has a sense of control over their own selves, which is, of course, not the case with many, if not all, business owners. This idea that they've really got it all together.
Sure.
Not true of business owners often.
Of course.
And so this admiration is something that we really are interested in sort of tweaking. When they say, like, who's Steph, and we just use that as an opening to say, well, we're a worker-owned cooperative. That's our value around ownership.
Wow.
And then that immediately gives us a platform to talk about worker ownership, which is very little understood in our culture.
I have to ask you a question because if I don't, I'll forget. And I have a feeling that you two ladies are the type where I probably couldn't ask you a question that would make you blush or would be out of line. But if we can just reel back for a second to the molds.
Do that. And then I have another thing I need to say about the Manifest Destiny. Okay, vulvas, go.
So back to the vulva molds. So if you were to create your own molds over at Nutty Steph's, who would be the mold? Who would be the person?
Oh, we have thought about that.
No, it's that we thought about.
Here's the second part
And
of the.
would we name them?
Here's the second part of the question. What the second part of the question is, as the business owner, or one of the owners, would it be you?
Well,
And would it be you?
I think if it was, we'd probably
Be
name
all
them
of us.
Steph 1, Steph 2, Steph 3, rather than
Right.
the Jaquelyn vulva and the Martina vulva. But again, it depends on where the vulva
Can I have
leads
15?
us.
Can I have 15 Martinas to go, please?
Are you here for Martina's vulva too? God.
We have a discount this weekend
Oh my gosh! But it's
on the Jaquelyn vulva.
the way that we found Hilde, the illustrator.
Yeah.
They were doing a Kickstarter for their book, and one of the prizes that you could claim was an original drawing of your own vulva. So that was the
Okay.
level at which I supported their Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
And so I was gonna get the opportunity to have an illustration
Sure.
made of my vulva, but I did gift that to one of our coworkers, Bethany Anderson, which is actually an alias for somebody. I don't know if you know
I was
her
just going to
alias,
say,
but-
you just dropped the full name.
Well, it's an alias.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Bethany.
Hi, Bethany.
All right. So get back to
You
what
just dropped
what you were trying to say to me.
Oh, well, just that idea of power and those people that own businesses and own land and own whatever money. The idea that those are the people that really have it going on or have a sense of control over their lives or know who they are. That's the myth that, of course, covers up the idea that actually those people that own those things are just people that majority of the time that had certain privileges
Sure.
that allowed them to have collateral and equity
Correct.
and access to resources in their life. And so
Yeah.
those concepts are
So that's the concept of Steph.
and of worker ownership. Is
That's
that,
a gigantic umbrella.
Yes.
That's so cool.
okay.
That's so cool. You know, and Martina, I know I'm kind of going backwards a little bit, but I just want to say to you that, you know, you what?
Back to vulvas.
No, we're not going back. No, I was just going to say to you, you know, you were talking about this exchange that you had back and forth with this woman and the reactions, the type of reactions that you get from people, not just in Vermont, but everywhere. And they're coming in everywhere. I mean, I have a friend in New York City who said to me, just returned back to New York City. I've got my microbrew, some maple syrup, and some chocolate vaginas. So,
That's awesome.
You know, I'm just
We're
saying.
the new heady topper.
Right, exactly. You know, a very close friend of mine, Rusty Deweese, said to me a long time ago, listen, if you're doing something wonderful, or you're doing something that's just great, but nobody's talking about it, there's going to be a limit to how great it will become. And
Rusty, nailing it.
Rusty's he's been in there. He's such a hell of a guy, and he's brilliant and on so many levels. But I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind that you've got to get people talking about what you're doing, what you have. And it's not just necessarily what you're selling, but if you have something that you're doing or a message that you're trying to convey, it's got to be something that's really going to get people talking. This is the type of stuff that is water cooler chatter.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, I think it's not just that you need to, you know, make people talk about it. I think sometimes what makes us talk about things or change things is
Dialogue.
being uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
And,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You know, not every, you know, and even people who are very comfortable with this may be still a little bit shocked. You know,
Sure.
so it's like you have to have a little bit of an emotional reaction
Yes.
in order
To make
then,
it for it be interesting.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're so out, both of you are, and the rest of your team are so outgoing. I mean, for like me, and I'll tell you guys right now, if you walk in there, don't be like I was when you walk in and say, "Okay, where's the chocolate vaginas?" and you don't want to ask. Just
You can shout it out.
you can shout out
talk about it
"Vulva!"
there. Yes.
when you walk in,
operatic.
and you guys will.
You get a free one if you do that.
Yeah.
You do really? Wow.
It might be crooked.
Okay.
They come in all shapes.
No, you know, I love what you said though, and it reminds me of this kind of observation I've always had about the Bible.
Yeah.
That there's just so many copies of it.
Yeah.
There's just so many damn copies of it. And
Sure.
that alone makes something
Sure.
have a really big impact. I mean, of course, the reprint happens because it's popular. But
Right.
that must have been like early on in bookmaking.
Sure.
And someone smart was like, we're going to roll out 10,000 of these right away.
Sure.
And that idea of just sheer masses and volumes
Yeah.
to have impact
Do you-
it is what drove us to make this goal, 100,000. You know,
Sure.
we printed 100,000 of Hilda's collector's cards. We printed 100,000 of these boxes.
Not cheap.
We planned our production schedule and our packaging and our work to do these big quantities because if it's going to have an impact, it needs to expand out to a lot of people.
Of
and that's where I
course.
say the Vulvalution could get really big. It could be not even the scale that we see now might be just a very
Well,
beginning.
there's a lot of ha-ha and giggle about so much of this, but
Which
like-
is helpful. You know, humor
No doubt.
is like the essence of how you impact human beings.
But
and
like
their
what
soul.
you're saying, this could be a Vulvalution.
It really could. I mean, and you know, especially in so much as that it's helping to fund the most important reproductive
Sure.
access and education organization in Northern New England.
Yeah,
It's
no doubt.
very real. It's not just funny. It's not just delicious. It's not just cute. It's very important. Everybody knows that. People are extremely in earnest about supporting Planned Parenthood. So we start there. We do something significant for them, and then what kind of social impact can we continue to have? It can be very big.
Will you or both of you? Can we plan having another podcast maybe this summer where we could bring in the one of the big representatives from New England for Planned Parenthood and just chat?
Well, certainly, if they're willing.
Maybe.
If they're willing.
Okay.
We
That
would
would be
love
great.
it. You're a blast.
Okay. That would be so kick-ass, wouldn't it? I just think it would be
Yes.
fun. It would be fun.
I think it would deepen the dialogue as
Do
well.
you know of, and I'm sorry I'm firing out these questions, but they're just coming to my head. Do you know of any other chocolatier, I guess that's what they're called, anywhere in the nation, chocolate company, whatever, that's doing this?
Well, there is one company that has furious vulvas and their truffles, and just like their topping kind of looks like a vulva.
Okay.
There is
What are they connected to? Are they connected to Planned Parenthood?
no, it's not a fundraiser. It's just like, for their own profit. So it's not an education piece. It's not anything like that. It's just.
And where the hell are they?
They're definitely not local to here.
Okay.
Jean was sending that to
So
us once, but
there is your answer right there.
Basically, we're
That's
pretty much pioneers.
You guys are pioneers.
Yeah.
You're pioneers.
It's good. It's really exciting work.
And if this
And the response is just so
Right.
encouraging and wonderful, and it helps us feel like we're definitely doing the work we're supposed to be doing.
If there's any candy companies or chocolatiers that are making chocolate vulvas anywhere in the world, get in touch with me. I would
Please.
love to. Yeah, please.
And
We want to
us,
know
let us
about you.
know. We want to collaborate.
Yeah, we want to know about you for sure. Because right now we only know of one, and they're in Middlesex, Vermont. So, and just winding down the last couple of minutes here. So let's just give a shout out to these crazy dudes that make up Planetary Matters. We're talking about Russ Bennett, Alan Newman, and Mike Pelcher, who purchased the property of Camp Mead just off Exit 9 off 89 here in Vermont, and have done some remarkable work already in just a short period of time. And I'm so excited to not only have all three of them back on the podcast. We had Mike Pelcher on, but also excited to see what's on the horizon for those boys with what they're doing with the property. I mean, they just crushed it this past winter with the world's largest s'more
That was
event
so much fun.
with
It's really cool.
with Red Hen Bakery, which is, you guys are all in the same building there. So there's Nutty Steph's, there's the Hive, and there's Red Hen Bakery.
And the Mud Pottery Studio.
And the Mud Pottery Studio. And then across the street is that incredible
Sally's Second Act.
Sally's Second Act. So that night was amazing.
Yes.
And you guys did the chocolate
Right.
for,
The world's biggest s'more.
which was 4 by 8, I think it was.
4 foot by 8 foot.
Which
and
was
Red Hen
amazing.
made the graham cracker.
I was there that night. The crowd was so huge.
Yes.
It was such a successful.
Well, those guys are promoters. They're
Yeah.
go-getters. They're visionaries.
Yes, they
so
are.
They're doing really an exciting thing at Camp Mead.
Yeah, and they've got
community
some
builders.
community builders, and they've got
Yes.
some huge plans, and we're going to bring them onto the show to talk about that. But I had Mike Pelcher on just a few days leading up to that event. He was here on the podcast, and what an interesting dude.
Definitely. I love
Wow.
Pelch.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. I talk about inspiring. He's so much fun. But, I also wanted to say that I'm so impressed with your organization. I've been in there. I've been in there when you're not there. I've been in there when you're not there, which isn't often because you guys are there a lot. But the folks you have behind the counter, the folks behind the scene, are so hardworking, and they're just really cool people. And I was in there one day. You were there. We were chatting, and I was I don't know if the word is shocked, but I was struck by something that I saw that, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I'll probably never forget this. But it says a lot about you and how seriously you take this. You had a tray of CBD chocolate hearts, and you were going over the whole tray with a brush.
A badger hairbrush.
To just brush
Polish.
off, just polish
Yeah.
and make them shine
Yep.
and get any of the little microscopic chocolate pieces away so that they were perfect. And, you know, I drove away that day and I said, man, this woman takes her biz seriously. Who the hell does that? I mean, is that OCD? Are you OCD?
No, we just.
It's chocolate. Just eat the damn stuff.
Well, we use a really high quality bean, and
Yeah.
it's really an artisan process. It's fun to have been in business for a whole 16 years because you start to get the long scope, and you just recognize everybody who's going to be here and have a satisfying livelihood here is going to learn really over a long time. It's a year or two that you make the chocolate before you're really versed in it. It's a year or two that you work behind the counter before you really know how we want to be treating community and what we want to be offering and providing. And there's a million little details about how we treat our chocolate and our community and our space and our store and our team and the way we govern.
Yeah.
And so we're just taking our time with everything that we do, and we do it in a way that brings us peace and that we hope spreads that peace around us.
Well,
And-
I think what not a lot of people know, what I certainly did not know before I started working there, is that every step is handmade.
Yeah.
And, you know, from like pouring the chocolate
Sure.
into the mold to
Wrap-
putting it into the cooler
Yeah, right.
to detraying it
Sure.
to wrapping it to
Well,
brushing it to
polishing.
wrapping it.
Where does the you said it's locally sourced, the ingredients for your chocolate?
Well, no, you can't get chocolate outside of about 100 miles of the equator.
Well,
I
you
think
know what I'm
that's
saying,
about it.
though. You were saying earlier that you support your local.
Well, we get it directly from farms.
Okay.
We work
I see.
directly
Okay.
with in Nicaragua and El Salvador and Honduras. We work with a variety of very small cultivators so that
Sure.
it's a very high quality bean, and that we are insured because it's an industry fraught with human rights abuses.
Yes.
The cocoa industry,
Interesting.
the commodities market. There's even, the State Department of the United States has documented slavery on the Ivory Coast in very recent years around chocolate and child slavery. So,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, definitely. So that's the more common form of chocolate you're going to get. So you have to work hard to find direct relationships with cocoa farmers and ensure that they're either own their own land. Owning your own shit, that's the best.
Yeah, man.
Or
You have
that
to.
they're employed with a high wage.
Yeah. So, where does the CBD come from in your?
That's local. Now that's awesome.
Maybe that's what I heard you say. But so
Well,
where?
other ingredient, like our butter, our cream.
Yeah.
maple sugar, a lot of maple syrup in our granola. So of course we do sources.
Yeah,
locally.
and shame on the three of us for showing such disrespect to the granola, which is the granola is
Amazing.
world class granola,
amazing.
and I feel bad. No, I really do. I feel
we
bad.
gotta go back to Elmore Mountain Therapeutics though.
I feel bad. We will. I feel bad for this lady who sent in that initial the disparaging remarks about what you guys were trying to do, because think about the shitty granola that she's getting from somewhere else. Really?
I know, poor
really.
thing.
The poor lady. I mean, if
And that was our first product.
that was your first product.
First 3 years. That
The
was our first
granola,
baby.
and I'm telling you,
It's
if
so
you're
good.
looking for an interesting gift, that is the place right
So
there.
you eat our granola.
I've had it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the CBD chocolate too. So
Talking about local, the grains, the oats in the granola are from Maine grains.
wow.
And it's
So
like a
that's as
heritage
local
milling
as
process.
possible.
Wow.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Where does the CBD oil come from? What's the deal?
Talk about it.
It's Elmore Mountain Therapeutics.
Okay.
CBD oil, based in Elmore,
All right.
but owned by Ashley Reynolds.
Okay. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. You're amazing.
Can you get high from if you pound down like a pound of this stuff, can you get high? I mean, really, or even just one chocolate, which I know is very low, but is that, can you get high, or can you feel a little?
It has too little THC.
Yes.
In it, in order to get high, you may get very sleepy.
Yeah.
And it affects everyone a little bit
Differently,
differently, and
sure.
even like on a day-to-day basis, it's
Yeah.
different depending on how well you slept, what have you eaten,
Of course.
what other medications you may take.
Yeah.
So it's tricky to say how exactly it affects everyone.
Yeah.
I need a very low dose, and it's very helpful.
Yeah.
For example.
Wow.
But it's hard to say that that's the same for everyone else.
Yeah. But you can really taste it. It's right there.
Yeah.
She's doing an amazing job.
It's
We've tried a
perfect.
lot of different
Because
CBD
you
oils.
don't want to you don't want to lose the chocolate flavor too. You've really
Well,
got
the
both.
two substances, CBD and chocolate, are both they both benefit the endocannabinoid system in the body. They're
Yes.
basically both feel-good substances, and so
Forgot
you mix
about
them
that.
together, and it's a very unique experience. I think even to CBD on its own when you mix the CBD with the chocolate.
Martina Anderson and Jaquelyn Rieke from Nutty Stephs. I cannot thank you guys.
This was a blast.
I just said, guys,
DJ
I can't
JD.
thank.
Ooh, thanks for catching that.
I did. Did you catch it though? Did you catch it?
I did.
We all
Thank
do
you.
that though. What's
I know we
the
do.
alternative? What's the
I know we
alternative
do.
to guys? Like
Sorry.
y'all? You say y'all?
I thank you, ladies,
Yes,
you
you
lovely
ladies.
ladies,
There you
for
go.
coming in here. And I say this, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I can only hope that you'll come back again, maybe this summer or in a couple of months, and tell me about more on the traction that you're getting with all things. This is not a one-story thing here. There is so much to this puzzle, and you guys are doing remarkable work, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you in here.
Thanks. The pleasure is very mutual. We
Stay-
really appreciate
stay
the
in-
opportunity, JD.
Stay in touch. Aired Out is the name of the podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on channel 192 and 194, Central Vermont Television in Barrie. Thanks to Abubakar and Tony Campos and the rest of the team here that make this happen and brought to you. Our sponsors, CBDcrave.com. Chris Dagnese and the rest of the guys will take very good care of you if you get in touch with them. Peak Entertainment of Vermont and New Hampshire, Newton Wells. You've heard them on the show here on Aired Out. Fontaine Forestry and Millworks of East Montpelier. Hello to Mark Fontaine and the rest of the Fontaines over there on Route 14, just below Bragg Farm. Fly in the Wall Productions. Thank you so much. Make sure to spread the word, to tell your friends about the podcast and the show, and of course this show here with Nutty Stephs. Share, like, comment, and just spread the word.
Spread the Vulvalution.
Spread the Vulvalution. We'll catch you next time. I'm JD Green. This is Aired Out.